Are you making decisions out of fear or out of alignment? Today on Soul Signals, we are tackling one of the hardest things for high achievers to figure out, or really anyone. What is the actual difference between your ego screaming in anxiety and your soul whispering through your intuition? We share our wildest intuitive moments, including an earthquake escape in Mexico City, super cool story, and give you a foolproof body compass test to try today. If you need help tuning into your own soul's frequency and clearing out all of the noise, head to the link in the show notes to book a private reading with me. Now, let's dive into the episode. Welcome to Soul Signals. I'm your host, Melissa Kincaid, evidential psychic medium, joined by my co-hosts Callie and Michele. No fluff, no filters, just real conversations about intuition, grief, and finally becoming who you're meant to be. Welcome, everyone, back to Soul Signals. We are so excited to have you back here today. This is episode 4, and we are also very excited to be here chatting with each other, having oatmeal raisin cookies that I made for us earlier.
Chocolate.
With a little bit of chocolate.
Oh my gosh. So
with
good.
Fancy,
So good.
Fancy Calbo chocolate, which
I was wondering what those are. Are they like the short, flat?
they're a little bit bigger
they're
than like a
delish.
normal Nestle.
Yeah. Well, they're heavenly.
Super high quality.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed. So thank you for coming with us today. Today we're talking about the difference between understanding when you are experiencing anxiety versus intuition. And this is something that I've dealt with my whole life. And I know we've all kind of had that difference between, am I fearful because my intuition is giving me a no, stop, no, stop, no, stop, or am I fearful because my ego is in the way? And we do want to kind of talk about defining the physiological difference between the ego, which is screaming, like I mentioned, which is anxiety, and the soul whispering, which is intuition. And sometimes intuition is very loud. Oftentimes it's very quiet. And understanding the difference between that will help us navigate life in a more purposeful and balanced and harmonious way that we are then able to take advantage of the information that we have swirling around us. Because my gosh, when you talk about the information in the quantum field, we are able to have access to all of the information, and learning how to quiet our minds to be able to access that information means that we have more tools in our toolbox to make decisions that are more aligned with, in theory, our soul and what we're supposed to be doing here. So I do want to talk a little bit too about kind of this, so what? Like, why do you really, really care? And for women in particular, high achieving women are chronically burnt out because they are constantly mistaking their panic response for their gut instinct. They end up making career and life decisions out of fear rather than alignment, trapping them in the cult of busy, just like we talked about in, I think that was our first episode, was the cult of busy. How we always think that we need to be constantly doing, and we get trapped in that. And then I think there's that fear of, if I'm not doing, I'm not productive, and therefore I must keep going. And unfortunately, life tends to reward us when we are super busy and stressed out and burnt out. And then it's just a never ending cycle of nonsense. And then you become completely out of touch with your intuition when it's that kind of stuff. So I'm curious a little bit from, and I've got a couple of different factoids that we can talk about too, but I'm curious from both Callie and Michele. And again, I forgot to this is episode 4. I figure everybody knows us by now, but we have Michele with us and Callie, and I'm Melissa Kincaid, your host. Which is, whatever. I'll figure that out next time. I'll get better about the intro as we go along. It's going to become this canned nonsense at some point. I'm curious from you guys, like, what is your experience with your intuition in general? I'd love to know what your journey has been with it. And I want to start with Callie. Just what has your journey with understanding your intuition, and how important is it in your life today?
Well, I think it leads me. I mean, I've always led with feeling. Like, I've always led with, how does this make me feel? And I mean, this is a very random one, but like, I'm not one to just like jump on things. Like, things, it takes me a long time to like feel something out completely and then make the choice and then do the thing. And then this in particular, so I have my social media manager, she started her social media company. Like, I don't know. At this point, I'm thinking it's like 4 or 5 years ago. Probably was. Anyway, so she called me, and I've known her for years, and she was always like, we've always had a great relationship. She's called me. She's like, hey, I'm starting a social media like management company. Are you interested? You know, let's have a conversation and let's sit down and talk about it. And I said, okay, yeah, let's bring you on for 6 months. Like without even a hiccup of like
wanting
questioning
to see her stuff or
wanting
anything.
to see her stuff and anything along those lines. Cause it was just like one of those things where it was like this instant knowing that I was just like, okay, that felt really good instantly. And then, and it was one of those things that was just like quick, easy, done. I didn't even have to think about it. And now we're, you know, however many years in, and it's been successful in all of those things. But like, that is one of those things where it was like a quick instant moment, where there's other things like a job, right? So like I had, I worked in corporate, I worked in a conference, or what is it, music industry. And it seems weird to call that corporate because it's not. They said fuck a lot, and I was like shocked. Sorry, can I say this on this one?
My corporate job, we say fuck a lot too.
We say fuck a lot.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
good.
like it can still be corporate. It's just
weird?
not. It's just not customer facing.
Yeah, it wasn't.
You're
And-
not in the
yeah.
grocery store saying
Yes.
"fuck you very much."
Yeah, fuck you. Although we would like to.
You say, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah,
A lot.
It was always made me laugh because I'm always like, when I first started, I was like, there's a lot of curse words everybody's saying. And I was like, oh, okay, it's good. So anyway, but it was the job I always wanted. I was like, it was the job I went to college for. It was the job I always wanted. And I got into it and I was like, this is not good. Like I remember literally walking up the stairs the first day that you're supposed to be jazzed about this.
Super jazzed,
And
yeah.
I felt this like, oh shit, what did I just do? What did I sign myself up
Wow.
for? What did I do this? And 2 years went by walking up the stairs every day being like, this is not my spot. Like, this is not it. And knowing full well that like that stomach piece taught me something. And then the one day I was like on my way home and the sun was shining, but it was raining in Seattle because that happens. And that song that, what is it? Oh, I'm going to say that now. Coldplay. Is it Clocks? You can be part of the cure or you can be the part of the disease. And I was like, oh, well, that just answered that. And instantly all of that gut feeling goes, it was like a light bulb turned on and it goes, oh, it's done. It was done. Because I wanted to be a wedding planner and I knew that. I think I always knew that. And it was just like in the back of my head. I was like, oh, okay, this is it. And then moved on.
Do you feel like you needed those 2 years at that place?
Yeah,
though?
of course. Right. And so, yeah. I mean,
So
it's a
even
learning thing.
though your intuition is saying this isn't the right place,
Right.
there's still also that decision of, okay, this isn't the right place long term.
Right.
That feels not good.
Right.
But I also know that there's value to being here for the couple of years anyway. It's almost like intuition is such a weird thing
so weird.
where it's not going to make your life just daisies
Yeah.
all of the time. It is going to make you go through things that don't feel good to be able to get you ready for the next thing, right?
Yeah. And it's my coach always calls it contrast. She goes, if you didn't have the contrast, you're not going to know what the other side of it is. So
Yeah.
she's like, what's the light and what's the dark?
Yeah.
So it's contrast. That's why you're given contrast. And so you can re-point in the right direction that you want to be in. So she's like, use it. She goes, you call it challenges, call it whatever, opportunities, call it whatever you want to call it. But like, know that the thing that you quote unquote don't want is going to point you in the direction of the things you do want. Because you can say, oh, great. Now I know. You know what? You know what's not good for me? Sitting in an office from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day.
But the funny part is you're sitting in an office again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. I am sitting back in the office. But I can leave whenever
At
I
any
want,
time.
and I can come and go as I please.
That's the autonomy you
That
need. Yeah.
is what I needed. So it's good.
So we're talking about like intuition and getting that feeling of what's
Yeah.
right, what's wrong. And then there's the like, you know, we've talked a little bit about in some other episodes about how we were treated as young women and
Yeah.
girls. And like,
Yeah.
I was always taught, you worry too much.
Oh.
And now when I look back, my worry, it wasn't me worrying. It was me having intuition on
Yeah.
a strong intuition on what was coming. And I was already emotionally or physically preparing for it.
Yeah.
Like I knew it was going to happen. And my family, my mom, my dad, you know, shamed me for it as, God, you worry too much. Would you stop? Just everything's fine. Not always the case.
Yeah.
Like it's listening to yourself and feeling that calm when you know and honoring it. You know, it's like, you know, like that like when I was in Mexico City, like so for listeners, I lived abroad for a long time and I would escape to Mexico City during hot season when I lived in Mexico on the beach. I'd go inland and to have culture and great food and art and music and It was just awesome. And sexy men with really long beards. It's a Mexico City thing. And so I'm in Mexico City. I rented this apartment. I had some friends from the beach visiting, and we'd just been out doing touristy things all day long. And they went to bed, and that cult of busy, you always have to be doing something. So I'm getting ready for bed. Just gonna say it. I sleep naked. I'm taking off my clothes, and in a way to say fuck you to the cult of busy, I just usually just let them drop on the floor and really don't care where they land. Like, I'm going to bed. I'm ready to dive into my book. But that night, you guys, like, standing there, taking off my clothes, and it was just like, nope. You need to fold those clothes. You're in a foreign place. You don't know this room. You need to fold them and know exactly where they are because you're going to need them. And I'm like, what the? Why?
Yeah.
3 hours later, maybe. Massive earthquake.
Oh my gosh.
Wakes me up in the middle of the night. Oh my God. But I knew exactly where my clothes were. I knew where my pants were, my bra were, my flip-flops were. I knew everything was. I was able to get dressed, grab my purse, get my friends, and run out the door in the middle of the street to escape a potential like collapsing building.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that extreme. That earthquake came like a week and a half, 2 weeks later, when windows were crashing and buildings were collapsing all around me. But that's another story.
That's another story.
That's another story. But my point is that if I would have stayed with that same story that I was taught as a young kid of, you're always worrying, you're such a worry, I'm worrying. I can just hear my mom bitching at me right now. That could have ended differently.
Yeah, totally.
Like, I could have found myself in a more vulnerable spot than I already was, but I honored it. And I think that those little hits that we get on a daily basis, whether it's I shouldn't be driving here right now, or I should turn left here, or that person just feels off to
that's
me.
It. Yeah, 100%.
And then like 2 years later, you're like, you see them in the news, or you get a piece of gossip. You're like, I had a feeling.
And I think a lot of people who are listening can totally relate to that. Like, how many times have you said, or your friend said, or whatever, like, I knew that they weren't going to be good for me, especially when it comes to dating.
Oh, God.
Like, I knew it. And while you're in it, you're like, I don't know it. But afterwards, when it doesn't work out, you're like, I knew it.
Well, and what's interesting is, like, when people say, especially about relationships, like when somebody's getting married, there's such a fear of truth.
Yeah.
And then we don't want to cause anxiety for people.
Totally.
And then we don't know if we're being anxious because maybe we have something going on inside us. We're projecting onto our friends, like why their relationship won't work. But
yeah. And there is some of that too.
Yeah,
I mean, we have to have discernment when it comes to
Absolutely.
those things, right? Yeah. But sometimes we just no.
Well, yeah. It's that whole anxiety thing. And it's like being in work and corporate. Like, I know when a meeting's about to go off the rails. Like, you just got the feeling, you start getting it, and you're like, okay, calm yourself. Like, you gotta understand where you're rooted and which direction to go. You're going north or south, and take care of yourself very quickly. And intuition allows us to react quickly, but with good purpose, I think. And people often dismiss it.
Yeah. I think the thing that what I think most people are used to or familiar with when it comes to their intuition is kind of what you're talking about with the earthquake, or if is this meeting going to go wrong, is it pops up when there's a hint of danger, where your ego really kind of comes in and is like, there's fear here.
Yeah.
So understanding the difference between the fear response and your intuition is actually quite difficult to discern between those two things. And I think a little bit, like, based off of your story, Callie, of walking up the stairs on your first day, and you should be really excited, but you're like, oh God, what did I do? It could have been, in theory, a fear response from your ego of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in front of all of these people. They're going to think I'm stupid. I don't want to do this, blah, 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 blah. I mean, your story was definitely an intuitive hit. I think a lot of people would think that it's fear based on I'm afraid of all those things. So for you, how did you know that it was intuition pointing you in the right direction as opposed to your egoic fear just of not wanting to be seen in front of people.
Honestly, it's hindsight at that point. Cause like I've learned to know, now I know like that was like a lesson, right? Like I know what that felt like. And then I'm like, okay, this is the wrong choice. But in the moment, I didn't know that. Like I just was like, cause you know, for me, I just didn't know what that feeling was.
Yeah.
So it could have very well have been like an ego piece. I mean, I was too loud and they did have to move me in my own office. They're like, stop talking. I'm like, it's all right. It's my life. It's fine.
Yeah.
It was not a great fit. Great relationships built from that, but not a great fit. But but like that was a learning experience. Now I know what that feeling is in my body. And now I can use that to go, okay, yep, nope, pivot.
Yep.
Pivot.
Pivot.
But like even client now, like owning a company, and like I can talk to clients and I get that feeling. And even now, like there was about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I had a client and I knew I shouldn't have booked her. Like I knew it. I felt it as soon as I got on the call, but we were post COVID and I was like, I need to make some money. Like we haven't worked in a year. I need it. So I was like, I'll take whatever. Hands down, the worst client to date. And I knew it. And I knew it then. And I knew it as we got closer and closer and closer. And I was like, okay, so here I was like, it was also like, hey, a little reminder from the universe. Like,
Yeah.
you knew better. Like
Yeah.
we tried to tell you, but
Yeah.
it was also kind of like, and you know, the repercussions that came from that and all of the things. So it's like, now it's like, okay, it's just like a little reminder for your, like, you know, I think your angels and your
Being in sales, like,
Yeah.
because I was in sales for 15 years and you're hungry at first. And
Yes.
so you'll take anything.
Yeah.
And now that I remember at the end of my sales career, like somebody would come in and I would just go, we're not a good fit.
right.
Wow, that's so bold.
I knew I did not want to do business with them because I knew what they would bring into my life was chaos, anxiety, and take my time.
Yep.
And, you know, intuition really at its root is there to help us protect our peace.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when we don't listen to it, when we buy into society's story of you have to do everything has to be perfect, this, that, hurry, go, and not listen to your intuition, it's protecting our peace. It's another way for us to protect our peace and to honor ourselves.
I think I think that's part of it, but I also think it's to provide us the lessons or the situations so that we can continue on a path that is in alignment with our soul too.
Absolutely.
And sometimes
Yeah.
that means our peace is not going to be protected in this moment.
Yeah, no, totally.
And I think that that's super important, that life is not meant to be lived with no friction.
Oh God, yeah, for sure.
I think that we need to embrace the friction as something to, like, you can't build muscles at the gym without being sore or pushing yourself or any of those things, right?
Time under tension.
Time under tension. Yep.
Time under tension creates that output and muscles that we need.
Right.
And that's
And if you, as wonderful as it sounds to be in a life that is like constantly peaceful, we honestly would be bored shitless.
well, it's like look at our romantic
Honestly.
relationships.
Yeah.
Like I'm currently in a partnership where it feels really peaceful to me, and I knew it. Like as soon as I met him, I was like, this guy brings me peace. But we do have some tension, and we had our first little, like, I'll say, fracture. But at the core, I knew it would be okay because my intuition is telling me, like, we have that foundation. But it's okay to have that. And we learned a lot about each other. And now, you know, I feel like we just took another step up in our growth together. And I think that tension, same as muscles, is important. And we can't dismiss it. You're right. Like saying that life is, you know, rainbows and unicorns that's
I
bullshit.
wish.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish, man, I'd
Yeah.
love to be a princess in a castle,
Oh,
just having
gosh.
people like catering to my every need. Wouldn't that be lovely?
But then you can't go to the grocery store on your own.
That's true. I do like going to PCC and looking at all of the
I know.
stuff.
Yeah.
See?
The
I know.
expensive
Yes.
grocery store. I know.
With your fancy chocolates, which are really good, by the
my
way.
fancy
I love some
chocolate.
fancy chocolate.
You know, they say that with baking, it's not the ingredients, it's the technique. Agree, because you can have shitty technique and great ingredients and it would not be good. But honestly, if you have great technique and great ingredients, which
You do.
I mean,
Yes.
butter is everything. Like,
Butter is
bad
Butter
butter,
is
is like
Seriously.
it can ruin anything.
It can
Yes.
ruin anything. Man, that sounds like that should be on a t-shirt somewhere. Bad butter can ruin anything. Yeah. So I do want to kind of talk a little bit. And so now we've got some good stories and examples of how intuition has shown. And maybe I'll talk a little bit about how intuition has shown up for me. For me, it has almost always been about the person in front of me. The how I feel about them and whether or not I jive with them. Because way back in the day, I would just say I'm a really good judge of character, and less so about circumstance. So I don't have stories of the job that didn't feel like a good fit. When I was younger, I would always override those emotions to the point where it's kind of not really, it's like an atrophied muscle that I'm trying to work to come back in terms of like circumstantial stuff. And, you know, a lot of that came from similar to you. I had, you're too sensitive, you worry too much, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So you just learn to override those things because then you think, well, the people who I love and trust are telling me I worry too much. So maybe I should just, or I need to keep it to myself, and or it obviously makes them uncomfortable. So I need to keep it to myself. So I'm learning to bring that back. But for me, because I'm super introverted, it's all about the people and how they make me feel. And so I have a really highly attuned sense of the safety of the person in front of me.
Yeah.
And so I can tell if somebody is presenting, basically I could tell when people are lying to me.
Oh,
Good.
good.
I could tell when people are, and I know it's never malicious, but I can tell when there's a difference between who it is that they're choosing to present themselves as and who they truly are. It feels like a gap to me. Like there's a gap between what you're showing and what is back here.
That's powerful.
Yeah,
And
it
I
is.
don't care what's in the front.
No.
I want to know what's back here because I find that far more fascinating.
Yeah.
Because that's who they truly are. And so I do a good job in general of when I'm at work, I know who's going to be, like I can look at somebody's picture and I'll see a picture of it. I have this story of this. So I'm an executive assistant for those who don't know. And I was talking to a fellow executive assistant. She said she had an EA on her team that wasn't doing well. And I looked at her picture and I go, let me guess, she loves doing events. Yeah, she does. And I said, and she probably is really bad at the attention to detail for the calendar. Yep. And she doesn't want to have anything to do with that stuff. Yep. And I'm like, the people who love the events are the ones that actually don't do well at my company because they are hiding behind some incompetency. Right. And I just have to look at her picture and I know those things. Right. So that's where my intuition comes into play. Mm-hmm. And of course, obviously I've honed that skill as a psychic medium, but I could do that before.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I'm not like 100% accurate. But I'm 99% accurate.
And that kind of goes like to my sales thing. Like when
Yeah.
somebody would walk in, I could just look at them. I could see how they asked their questions and how I would give them information. I was like, nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just no. Like I don't want your business.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the same thing. I can we'll be at like wedding shows and all these things. I'm like, I can look into the entire crowd and I'm like, that's my client. That's my client. That's my client. Not that one. Not that one. Not
Yeah.
that one. And it's like,
Yeah.
you just know, like you can, I'm like across the room. I'm like, yeah, I'll work with them, and them. It's so weird.
Okay, I have to ask something.
Okay.
I'm gonna be a little spicy.
I love spicy.
Okay, so like dating, like when Callie, you're coming out of a marriage. Melissa, you're married. Okay, I'm single, but I've always had instances where like in my younger years, like being out like at a bar or dancing or whatever, and like just like seeing a dude and just going, "That's my guy." And then like you go meet that guy and then there's sparks and then there's whatever. There's a little relationship. There's a fling. There's a one night stand. There's something happens. Have you guys ever had that?
100%. 100%.
So fun.
It's the best when you
Yeah.
like instantly and you're like, zoop.
Yeah.
It's happened twice.
Okay.
And so, yeah, no, but like, that's the one thing. And then you're like, I don't know why. And then like you wake up and you're like, hi, did I meet you yesterday? Not now, but like back then. But like, and then you're like, how did I just meet you less than 24 hours? And now I'm like, I've spent the best day with you and the best time and everything. And, but you just know, it's like, you can like connect, but I think that's also like people too.
Soul
Right?
connection.
Soul connection. And like
Intuition allows that.
yeah. I think when you're like romantic partners or that, it makes it a lot easier because then you're just like, zoop.
Yeah.
But like, you know, friendships and those kind of things. Like my old assistant, I could literally, her and I instantly clicked. It was just like, there was just like, and then like, we were just this the whole time. And it was the best. She was the best. It was my favorite. But it was like, there's very rare people that you like meet that you're just like instantly. I feel like you and I, all of us kind of had that like instantly like, oh, okay. It's like in a different way.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, but dating for sure. For sure.
I mean, I guess like working with executive assistants and pairing them with their
leaders.
their
Yeah.
leaders. That it's like dating. I mean, it's an interesting.
I know who's
concept.
going to work and who's not going to work, you know?
Yeah.
And anytime I've overrode my intuition on that, I regret it a
Bites
little
you
bit.
in the butt.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would talk, there's a current situation going on that I'm like, fuck, I knew it. Fuck. But sometimes I try to test it a little bit. It's like, okay, is it really my intuition or am I just being stubborn because I want this person to look exactly like me? So I'm like, you know, it's a small risk. Let's try it. And then I'm like, God damn it, I was right.
So again, sorry guys, if anybody's out there not dating, it's like looking at pictures. Like dating online now is all about pictures.
Yeah.
And I find myself like, okay, I do the thing, I look, I see the gap, but I'm like, is that me being biased?
Yeah.
Or am
you got to test it, right?
And I test it. Like I will like, okay, I'm going to go on a date with that guy
why not?
just to make sure that I'm not being a total asshole and have
Yep.
this bias from all of these years of wisdom and experience. So I think it is important to test it. I think
it is. And because I think there is, so a couple of things. While intuition is a wonderful tool and we should always hone in on it, we have to be aware that we also have our biases. We also have our baggage and we're considering people through those lenses as well. And so to be open to this actually might not be my intuition, because let me tell you, there's no exercise in the world that is going to make you 100% sure that it is your intuition. And you should always test it. It's like recalibrating, right? Because you're going to lose touch of your intuition from time to time. You're going to forget the sovereignty of your soul. You're going to forget the connection that always exists for you through fear, through doubt, through uncertainty, through all of those things are going to make you kind of pull back. And so you should test it in a lower risk kind of way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to be like, you know what? I think that person is going to be violently abusive, but I might be wrong. Let's go. Yeah. Maybe just that one's not worth the risk. Okay. But if you're kind of like this guy or this gal looks like they've got a little bit of baggage, probably come from divorced parents. I'm from divorced parents, probably this kind of weirdness with their siblings, because you could kind of, at least I can do that to that detail.
For sure.
Could they still have those moments of brilliance that really match your brilliance? And are they going to be in your life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime? And that is worth it. Right? That stuff is worth it too.
So what I'm getting like just out of this conversation is like when it comes to tuition and understanding if it's tuition or anxiety is that there's two avenues here. We have situational and we have people. Like I think those are I think they're the same but different.
Yeah.
And I think understanding how our intuition feeds us in each of those is important.
Yeah.
And I think that's an honest conversation I would encourage all of our listeners to have with themselves and to maybe write it down, make a column. Like, when was it my intuition situational? I did listen or I didn't listen. When should I have tested it? And same with people. I think people is probably something not to say people, but that we generally can identify with.
We can. And I think some of the things, so I'm going to kind of throw out some factoids out here just to see if it means anything to people, because it means something to me. So according to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, women are twice as likely as men to suffer from an anxiety disorder. We are culturally conditioned to be anxious. But I think when even just saying that, I'm like, false. I think we're far more in touch with our intuition based on what it is that you said, Michele, about like I was worried all the time. And it makes people uncomfortable. So they say, no, that's anxiety.
Yes.
So I think that that's something to think about too, is that we have, I dismissed my intuition for a very long time. And so it makes other people uncomfortable. It turned into anxiety. It turned into all of these like fear-based responses. So that's
Sure.
something to think about. And I think we're kind of sort of running on this assumption that because the three of us have a very comfortable relationship with our intuition, I think we're running on the assumption that everybody has a little bit of comfortability with at least a story or two. What about the people who are saying, I have no clue. I see people and I have no clue if they're good or bad for me. I just have a relationship with them, or I have no clue if this job is good or bad for me. My answer to that is intuition is part of who we are. It is always talking to us. We have just decoupled or divorced ourselves from that. And so we've numbed ourselves because we were taught that our intuitive hits were bad or wrong or whatever, because we live in an incredibly logical linear world, which seemingly doesn't have room for intuition. So for people like that, what would you say, and I'll start with Callie again, what would you say would be the first thing that they should be paying attention to?
Oh, well, like paying attention to, or what should they do to like
We
just
could do
quiet?
either.
I'm
right?
like quiet. What is? I'm like I always think like in this, like for me in particular, like in the shower, my brain is quiet. I don't know, like, and I feel like I can think, and like the emotions are gone, and those kind of things. So it's like, what do you think about when the emotions are gone? And I don't know if that answers that question, but like sometimes when you get rid of the emotions and you get out of your head, and like what really comes to you is essentially your intuition. Like I don't even remember what the question you even asked was, but
like somebody, there's people who are so divorced from their emotions and their intuitive selves that they may be listening to this because they're going to be interested between the anxiety and the intuition. What would be your advice to them on how to start being aware of the information that is always available to them?
Well, it's much quieter. It's not going to yell at you in the middle of
Sometimes it does.
Sometimes it does.
If you're going to have an
if
earthquake.
you're going to die, yeah.
If you're going to die, it's going to say
If you're
something.
going to die, but like it's quiet, and it's calm. Your system is calm when you get intuitive hits. Like I don't know. I mean, at least it was for me, but I think that like listening to that and like being like that intuition is, like you said, it's always there, but it's much quieter. And it feels, and like it's softer on your body, and your system kind of like softens into it and relaxes into it. And if we're so programmed to being so anxious, and our system's supposed to be like so like high, and like we're always feeling like everything like to the extreme, that calmness could be confusing, because you're like, well, that's just
Totally.
how do you know that? Like, it's fine. And you dismiss it because it doesn't fall into what you're like the normal day-to-day level of like, your nervous system. So if you go high calm all the time, you're not going to be able to hear it, because that's just loud all the time. And so it's just a matter of like calming your system, like find something that like calms you, like simply go stand outside with no shoes on in the grass.
Grounding.
Ground, like take a shower. That is water. There's a whole premise of like your water like cleanses you, and it gets it. You can essentially take all those negative energies, and it just goes down the drain, and that's it. So, just do something very simple like that.
Yeah.
There's more intentional exercises like meditation or yoga practice. I practice Tai Chi, and that is very grounding. And even my Tai Chi instructor, he's like, Callie, get out of your head. Even I'm going into it knowing what I'm doing, and I have to be reminded for that too. So it's not it's a practice.
Everything's a practice.
Everything's a practice. So it's like, it's a matter of just like calming your brain, like calming your system, calming everything down. Then then you don't have to be like, what? I don't know what my intuition is. I can't hear it. I can't hear it. Calm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it depends where you are in life
Yeah.
and how safe you feel.
Yes.
And I think It's my experience when I've come across people who struggle with intuition and tapping into it. I'll call it the tapping into it. Is they've never been coached into a place of emotional safety where they understand the value of reflection. And maybe, putting on my corporate speak, lessons learned in life. And I think if somebody is really trying to understand if they have had intuitive hits or understanding in their life, is to being able to just sit down calmly and having the desire to do so. I mean, this isn't something that you can just do in your car. You have to have that motivation, that desire, the intention to do it. But to sit down and think about in your life, when you just ask yourself the question, is there any situation in my life where I now look back, like Callie, you said earlier, hindsight, and say, I knew it.
Yeah.
Document it. Look at those lists. I mean, granted, our memories shape us in a different way sometimes on what really did happen, but it's a way that you know that you felt, and try to understand that. Write a 3-sentence story about how you felt and read it and try to understand it and go, okay, this week I'm going to try to listen, see if there's anything else like that happens this week, and in a week come back and add something else to the list. And I think those very basic foundational practices can help you build up to, meditation and being able to hear it, because you know that you have, like, not just waiting for a sign to come down and strike you like lightning. Like, I think you have to know that you've already done it, because to your point, Melissa, we all have it.
Yeah.
100%.
Babies have it. They cry. Dogs have it. Like they bark, when somebody's, 2 blocks away, and they can hear them coming if you live in a rural area. So I think, I don't know, that's my take on that.
Yeah, I think those are really good ones. I think one of the things that, and I'm going to give everybody a little homework who's listening. I think it's important to have a little homework in this. And the homework for you all is to really understand your body and understand how your body gives you intuitive clues, because our brains and our minds can really mess that up. It can really tell us, no, you're wrong. But your body never lies. Our body holds the truth. Our body keeps the score. There's a book called That Body Keeps the Score. I think her name is Carolyn Miss is the author. And we'll talk about that too. But the homework for you all is to understand when your body is giving you a yes versus when your body is giving you a no. And start with things that are very low risk. And I often tell people to start with the thing that your body actually wants to eat, it's going to nourish you. So just literally, and don't even worry about, is this going to be good for my body? Is it not going to be good for your body? Have an apple and an orange in your hand and say, I really want to have the thing that's going to make me feel the best. Which one feels better? The apple or the orange? And you can hold them in your hands, and it could be one gets heavier or one gets lighter. Whatever it is that feels like a yes to you, I'm not going to prescribe that to you, because a yes feels different to everybody. When I connect to spirit or your soul, and I'm being very intentional about it, when I first started doing it, I would get a lot of pressure right here and what would be considered the third eye, I guess. So I didn't know that's what it was back then. It would all be on the bridge of my nose. I don't get that as much any longer because I don't need it, but that meant I was really connected. So understand how your body tells you when are you really connected. And it's going to be a tingling. It's going to be, I feel a little bit hot. Like maybe you have an apple and orange. You have an apple in your left hand and an orange in your right hand. And you're like, which one is going to make me feel the most nourished? Emotionally, mentally, physically, doesn't really matter. And your left hand heats up. Well, then it's the apple that day, right? Like, and it's okay that and you're probably like, well, what happens if both of my hands don't do anything? Well, then you need a chocolate bar.
Yeah.
Maybe you need chocolate instead of an apple or an orange, right? And that's okay too. And don't overthink it. That's the thing that we get over. Well, I've already had an apple today and it's telling me I need an apple again. So that can't be right. So I'm just going to have the orange. You're overriding your intuition at that point. Just go, like, who cares if you had an apple yesterday or 3 hours ago or 2 minutes ago or whatever? That just is fine, right? And so just practice trusting that moment on the low risk things. And then the more you trust that, the more you are going to pay attention to when it pops up in conversation with people, because you'll start to get used to that language. You're relearning a language, and just know that. So you're not going to know Spanish immediately.
No.
You have to take lessons. You have to speak Spanish with other people who speak Spanish natively. So find people who have a good sense of their intuition and allow yourself to kind of go from there. Okay, we're still good. Yeah, we're still recording.
Maybe that's the intuition.
I hope so.
Wrap it up.
Yeah, wrap it up. So with that homework, I think we feel good and complete for today's podcast for anxiety versus intuition. If you have any questions that you have for Callie, Michele, or myself, please put them in the comments section below. And if you enjoyed this episode and got something out of it, please like, share, and subscribe. Anything you guys do helps our community build, and the more community we have, the better it is for you, because we all get to learn from each other. So thank you all so much for being with us today, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye. That's the signal for today. If it landed, subscribe and share to keep the frequency high. Vision, vibration, voice.